Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom. I'm Paul. Barb, tap on in.
Hi,
We're here, everybody. Welcome,
we're here
welcome.
again.
Hi, Mom. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, couldn't be happier. I'm here with you right now, right? We're here.
I love that.
Did you watch the crime doc that I told you to watch?
Which
The one
one?
on Netflix?
You tell me to watch so many of them. I can't.
The woman who had the daughter that she gave up for adoption.
Yeah.
This is what we do. I tell Barb, I'm like, hurry, watch all
Love
these
that.
episodes so we can catch up and then we can start talking about it.
I love that one. That was such a good one. And it was only like 2 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good, fascinating, amazing. We love Kathy.
Kathy was a real bitch.
Kathy was
She went to the
not
ends of
let
the world for that kid.
That's right. She was not going to not have a closure to that case.
Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter. It came out on
There it
Netflix.
is.
Yes. It was
So good.
incredible. It was so
Incredible.
good. I balanced myself out with like Housewives and then crime docs. So I have the best of both worlds. We have a very eclectic palette here. But I watched this one with Jordy over the weekend and it was called Murder on Elm Street. And it was like the actual murders on Elm Street. I was fucking scared watching this shit.
From like the movie?
No, so it's not like Freddy Krueger, but there's an actual
Oh,
street called Elm Street.
it's like there really is a Freddy Krueger.
No, I know, but there's an actual street in like Bumble, America.
Right.
And there's this guy, like it was only one episode, but I'm watching it. And like the girls who were like the victims, they were, no spoiler alerts, but they were like playing with the Ouija board after their mom passed away and they were hearing like
Oh, hell no.
banging on the walls. And this guy was living in their house for 6 months behind the walls.
What? Now it's one episode, I'm gonna have to watch that one.
I was scared. There was so when they're playing with the Ouija board and someone's like,
Oh, he would start knocking.
he was pushing out the electrical outlets in the walls and looking through them. I've chills.
They're thinking their house is like haunted.
But all I could keep thinking about was like, I need to go back to Westville, New Jersey.
It was your dad's childhood home, and there were experiences of things that happened when he was a child. But then when we graduated high school or whatever, we decided that we were going to rent this home from his dad. And we were in there, and we already know like that there's stories about this house.
Like it was a known thing. Like other people have experienced it in that family stories.
Yes. But when you really experience it, when you walk into this house, you just have this, it's a very weird feeling when you walked into this house and you could just feel like presence of something. But me and your dad decided we were going to rent this house. We also decided we were going to.
That's where y'all royally fucked up, knowing damn well not to go in that house.
Yeah. I mean, one story is that we bought a German Shepherd puppy and he was very skittish and very shy, and he like would follow me and your dad around everywhere. He had to be with us. He would hide under like the toilet. He would sit on the couch. He was very skittish, very shy, didn't bark or anything like that. Our bedroom and the bathroom are at like one end of the hallway to the other. So when you walked across the hallway to get to either or, the hallway would creak.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only time it would creak. There was a certain floorboard right there that when you walk there, it would creak. So for whatever reason, your dad got up, went to the bathroom, and the dog, who doesn't bark, is skittish, starts barking at the hallway, like got up and was just sitting there barking at the hallway, like really like growling, barking, and you could hear the creaking on the floor. And your dad's like yelling to me like that I was doing something, like walking in the hallway. Why was I stirring up the dog or whatever?
Yeah, like you're running back and forth in the hallway playing
Right.
games.
And I was like, I'm laying in bed. So I
Petrified.
was still in bed and the dog was just going berserk.
You had told me that there was times where you were home alone and you would hear like creaking or like a
I would
rock.
hear creaking again up on the top floors, or that you would look over and the rocking chair would be rocking. There was one time we were sitting there all talking at the kitchen table about someone in your dad's family who passed away, and all of a sudden the lights literally just went out, came back on. We stopped talking about it a little bit, started talking about it again. They started to flicker, and then we were like, oh, we're done, kind of thing. There was a basement where the washer and dryer was. I would never go down there. After we left, then there was another family member that was in there, and something happened with
Oh, I
them.
was gonna say, what corroborated this was shout out to my aunt, shout out to Tara. We love her. Shout out, she's a listener of the podcast, so I know she might hear this episode. But she corroborated this story because she then and her husband at the time moved.
Experienced something right in the bedroom, just like I did that night with the dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she said there was one time where the lights flickered. She said she was petrified to be in that house by herself. She
Yes.
said she felt one time like it felt like somebody was on top of her.
Yeah, it was just very eerie. Your dad would sit and say when he was little, he would hide under the bed and he would see these at night,
Boots.
and he would see these black boots.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then his brother,
And they actually just, I'm getting the chills talking about it.
it's so scary.
Yeah, because they just, when we were younger, we were all just sitting there talking about it. And he brought up the boots, and your dad, and I already knew this story because your dad told me. And then he started talking about it, and we were just like, what? And your dad was even like, you remember seeing those boots? I saw those boots. Yeah.
Only if we had Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom podcast back then for everyone to be able to tell their story, not sweep it under the rug when they see muddy boots in the middle of the night or scared shitless. But
And are hiding
okay.
under the bed as little kids, like
How
crazy.
do you not talk about that?
How do you not talk about that?
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
there
be
was
even sleeping in
something,
that bedroom.
definitely, there was something. And like I said, so Tara and them moved in. They moved out because of the
Same
weirdness.
thing.
And multiple families after that came and went in that house very quickly. Multiple families.
And it looks just eerie too on the outside.
Yeah. It was just a house that you went in and you could just feel something wasn't right.
Felt
Yeah,
oppressive.
I didn't like to stay in that house by myself at all.
I don't know how you
Ever.
did it.
Like, if I was home by myself, I would never go up to the bedrooms or anything. And like, even to go to the bathroom, I would be like, oh,
But
like,
then you feel like somebody watching you.
yes, always. Always. Just, you felt like a coldness and a presence. There is definitely a presence in that house.
I mean, that's not your first encounter with presences.
No, because then after, I mean, that was when me and your dad were young. I mean, we weren't even 20 yet. But when my mother passed away, I was laying in my bed. I was facing the window, so my back was against the door coming into the bedroom. So I felt a tapping on me, like literally like a tapping. And I got real cold. Like, I remember, I get the chills again because it's so vivid. I remember a tapping, like a hand, like kind of that just caressed my back, and like a tapping, like a patting, like it's okay patting kind of thing. And I got very cold, and I put the blanket on me, and I turned because I thought it was either you or Brett. And I turned and I was like, what do you guys want? And no one was there.
Damn, that's how you answer? Okay.
I was trying to nap. I was trying to nap. And I turned, and not a solitary person was there. No one was there.
Oh.
Yeah. And then when I put her, she gave me a ring. She left me a ring. And when I put it on for the first time, probably like, I don't know, a week after, 2 weeks after she passed, I put it on, and it burnt my finger.
It did?
Yeah. And it, like, I couldn't wear it. I had to, I took it off it literally because I was like going to wear it, and it burnt my finger. Like, I had little blisters on my finger, and the shape of the ring.
Remember when Brett threw holy water on me and it burned me?
Yeah.
It's because I was gay. They were trying to get a demon out. We've had some very chilling experiences in this family. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree.
But I would believe that that was like maybe a message.
I think she was caressing and patting, being like, it's okay.
I think having a psychic medium on this episode will be really reassuring to know the spirits, what our future holds. Like you said, the validation of
Yeah.
knowing, there's so much energy around us. And I think it's interesting, to hear what we got cooking, what we got going around us, and
Yeah. Future, health, relationships,
all of it.
careers, all the above.
A lot of good stuff, which, I always need some validation in terms of like, bitch, you're making the right choice. Stop second guessing yourself. So I need a lot of that energy. We have on Jennifer Shaffer, who is a psychic medium. She's an investigative expert. She's helped crack cold cases, murders. She works with the FBI for her pro bono. Really just has a true gift. And we're honored that she's coming onto the podcast today to kind of talk about being intuitive and tapping into that. So let's get to it. Let's welcome Jennifer Shaffer to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you
Of
for
course.
coming on. Yes.
Jen, you have a very special gift. I call it a gift. I know that you help solve cases and have, really help people get back to loved ones and really have like bridge the gap for people with your gift. Could you kind of let the people know exactly what you do, your practice, and, kind of the accolades that you've achieved at this point in your career?
I have worked with various groups of law enforcement and families, and that's been my pro bono work. And so that's the way that I tend to give back. And I'm really good, really, really good at like finding dead bodies and certain things. But I know that sounds a little bit morbid, but don't ask me where my son is. It's kind of one of those things.
You're like, he's trotting around somewhere. I have no idea. But listen, I can tell you where this person's been for 20 years.
Right. So interesting. Cold cases. I'm very good at crime. And I think the reason why, knock on wood, is because I don't have any projections. I haven't had anything, happen to me that has been crime related. And so when you're doing this work, you have to be completely present. You can't have any judgment. You can't have any fear with it. And that's taken me years to really get into. Like for instance, I read 34 people last night in 2 hours. And this is my fun work, wine and spirits. There's always, with all these women, there's always like a mother was murdered, there was a missing kid, there was, they want to know about their love life. And it's just fascinating when people come through and loved ones come through and they talk to them about what's going on in their lives. And I just feel like, like the comfort I gave somebody last night about how this mom didn't feel her death. She just couldn't believe, she's been tortured for years over it, And so if I can give that little bit with verification and validation about her being around her, I just look at it as I help people, and it comes in different ways.
I mean, you really have a gift at being able to find that intuitive, self that you have like deep within inside you. I always say like, my mom, we laugh about it because obviously you are way more advanced, I feel, of like tapping into it. But my mom has always been great about like reading a room. She could just feel someone's energy. I don't know if you like picked up on that when you first met her, but like she just had like
the chills. It was such a great experience. And and to have you as a son, she had to come in here locked and loaded, Like, oh
Thanks,
man,
Jen.
you chose her to be, your mother. She had to come in with the force. And I think that I think that now it's a lot easier to do my work now because everybody's heard of it versus even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
People know that there's something else out there. And so it makes my job a little bit easier. And I always try to connect them to their own intuition. I am not there. Everybody's always connected. Their awareness just might not be. I just have a certain amount of it that because I've been doing it for so long. So when you do something over 10,000 hours, I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of readings now that have been documented. You get to a point, you just, something is working and you're strengthening the pineal gland. And then when I added meditation to it, it even made it even better.
Do you feel like there's a spectrum of like intuition, like kind of what you were saying, that people might have it and they just don't know how to tap into it?
Yeah, it's as simple as this. Like when you're on the phone with somebody, with a friend of yours, and they're describing this beautiful guy and how in love they are, and you're like, ooh, it just doesn't feel right. That's it. The only difference is I know that I'm getting the information. I'm not just thinking it. So if you do that, I mean, everyone has that. Everybody has, and they end up being right when the person,
Mhm.
Yeah.
in love with this person. So I have, so there's that. And I think a lot too, there's a quickening now. So like, for instance, how many times are you thinking of somebody and then all of a sudden they show up on your phone? Difference with me, when people start popping in, I mean, there's more alive people that pop into my mind than dead people. And so I pay attention to that. And then if there's a couple times they keep popping in, I call them and I beat them to it. And they're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about blah, blah, blah,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Everybody, both of you have that. You guys finish each other's sentences.
We
Right?
do. Yeah.
I literally was just gonna say, yeah, we do. I mean, I kind of have been wanting to be more powerful in the sense of taking that from my mom because I do believe like she just has always been right about so many things in terms of like, when you're friends with someone as a kid or the group that you're hanging around with, or I don't know, there was always that, and she always would be right. So now as an adult, when I'm around people, I'm so big on energy. And sometimes I feel like misunderstood, and maybe you do too, because you just get not a great read from somebody, but everyone's like, oh, they're great. No, they're so nice.
Yeah. And I'm like, I can't place it at this moment, but I just have such a feeling about that person. Yeah.
Well, I think people understand energy is your currency. Without it, you don't really have anything. If you're not healthy, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're being drained by your surroundings, that's not, life literally is just a coffee stop. So how are you going to make your mark? How are you going to manifest your dreams? There's an infinite amount of abundance out there that's rightfully everyone's, but you have to believe in it, and you have to believe that you can have it. You have to match that energy as well. And so, you probably have friends that keep attracting the same person over and over, just a different, set of clothing.
Mhm.
And like, you wonder why they keep doing that, right? You have to change. If you want something to change, you have to change it. You have to do something different than what you created the problem with. And it's a lot easier than people think, but they have to stop thinking. You're trying to make sure every minute is filled up of every day. That doesn't allow the universe to help you either.
Right.
You have nothing, and that was the hardest thing for me because that's what I felt like I had control over. Now I'm just like, I constantly ask, should I do this or that? And I make sure though, that if I get an answer, like, should I work out? And if I get a yes, I have to go. Like all of a sudden, like stop doing what you're being told because I don't know, in my mind, I feel like they're not going to help me anymore or whatever that is. Hey, did you have an uncle that was in the military by chance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And sorry, there's already people here. Can I just start?
Oh my God. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
I'm excited. Yes.
Hold on a second. When you see me look down, this is just my iPad that I doodle with. It's just kind of what I do. So the uncle that is coming through, who I feel like is singing too, by the way, who was in the military. There's a couple people. And was there any connection to Florida as well? Florida?
As in what's
family, for family?
No, not that I'm aware of.
All right. So Florida's for something else. Okay. Give me a second.
I'm hopping in here to make a disclaimer. We later found out that the uncle that Jen was referring to did, in fact, own a home in Florida before he passed away.
Okay. There's somebody I feel that's here that you were named after, Paul, like a middle name, somebody that you were named after that's passed away. He might not have been in the military, but did he ever have guns or anything like that? Like, did he ever go shooting by chance?
Somebody that, Mom, am I named? Is my middle name?
No, you're named after Aunt Joy's husband.
And he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I feel like he's here, but he was showing me something. Maybe that was I don't know if that was a Florida connection. at all. I'm not sure. But I feel like he, like you love the water. Like the water does something for you. And I felt like he loved the water as well. And I don't know why. He just was showing me gaming. So I have no idea what that means. It comes in puzzle pieces. And there's like a black and white photo of him winning something, it feels like. And it almost feels like there was a farmer too that's out there. Oh, hold on.
This was Aunt Joy's husband, you said, Mom?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really weird that you said that, Jen, because I just talked to her the other day for the first time in like a year.
Oh, really? Yeah. She's doing better. She feels better, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she does.
She took care of him for a long time, it feels like.
Yeah.
And it was a painful passing. Even though he didn't feel any, it was just painful for her to watch, but she really had to take care of him for a very long time, it feels like. But he's super funny. The whole reason why he's coming through is not only because you were named after him, but he's really a funny guy. And, and he was just, I mean, everyone loved him. It feels like everyone loved this guy, just kind of like they do you. So, like I said, even though, and there's similarities with your eyes for some reason. I don't know if they were just bright, but there's some similarities with his eyes and yours. And so your grandmother's still here, correct?
My grandmom's still here. Yeah, on my dad's side.
On your dad's side. Because I have one that's over there and one that's here. I feel like so if she's in your energy field, she just misses you. You just have to talk to her more, your grandmother. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, she's that's funny that you said that, because yesterday my Aunt Joy, who, her husband is the one you're talking about, she said it means so much when you call your grandmom, because I wanted to get her something, and she said just talking to her means more to her than what you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything. It's very sweet. What kind of questions do you have? You can ask anything about anything.
I kind of already know what I would ask you.
Go ahead.
Jen, I want you to, and I don't know how much this comes to you, but my career, my future, been the driving force of who I am. I sometimes get nervous that like what I want it to do will never like happen, or it's not going to be the way that I've envisioned it my whole life.
So let go of the timing. Okay. It is going to happen. I'll start from there. It is going to happen, but let go of the timing and let go of how it's going to happen. I mean, it's nutty how things can happen really, really fast. And it takes, they always say, to be an overnight success, it usually takes 20 years.
Yeah.
I know it's not what you want. Like, it's not going to take you 20 years. I promise.
Thank you.
It might take you a few just to get into, just not because of what you have to offer, but because the container for it. So whether it's the networks, I mean, there's so many different things that are happening right now with the networks, and there's so many different mergers that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like by you not being completely out there just yet, or being out there the way that you want to be out there, I feel like is going to save you by not going out there right now. There's just something about that. But I do feel you like expanding whatever it is that you're doing in different areas. And I don't know if do you have like 3 projects going on right now?
Yeah.
Okay. And I feel like you're adding a 4th one, probably in November. Something that came by you in June?
Yeah, there was something that came by in June. Yeah.
I think it's going to come back in November, or it's going to get solidified in November. And then I think with next year, I don't know, I see you picking and choosing projects that are more fun too, like for you, that give you a little bit more freedom. Like you'll be able to do what you're doing here, but I feel like you're going to put a project through your own stuff. So I don't know how that looks. I don't know if but I feel like you have like 3 over here and then 1 over here. It feels like
that is a great thing. Yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah.
I think I discussed Dr. Joe Dispenza with you,
mm-hmm.
how he has his work is the most studied meditation there is on the planet. And he has such a drive and passion and makes science back it up. And it really does change the neuroplasticity in your brain. And once you start visualizing it, it starts happening like really fast. And that goes, wherever you put your energy, wherever you put your mind, your energy goes, your energy follows. So wherever your mind is going, you got to crack it open just a little bit more.
I've been through a lot of transitions the last couple of years. Where do you see any big transitions for me?
I feel like it's now, but it feels like relief. So I feel like there's some type of relief. I don't know if you moved or if there was like a move with work. Have you been with your work for like 15?
It's like 17, yeah.
17 years. Okay.
Mhm.
You're getting better and better at whatever it is. But I do feel you getting a little bit bored. That's why I think this is amazing that you're doing this. And so you're also doing things that you normally wouldn't do, which is great
Yeah.
for your spirit. I also see you writing. I'm sure you have tons of books that you can write just about Paul. My son, Paul.
I was gonna say, I mean, you look at my scrapbook as a baby, and then my brother is the second child.
I
There's a
know.
lot.
That's so funny. That is
Yeah.
so funny. Your
I
brother.
get reminded of that all the time.
I actually feel like your whole family is going to end up in California, you know? And I do feel like you're going to have enough work for your mom eventually to be a part of. And so I feel like she might be running things. And
For me,
yeah.
Me running your things.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love that.
I think that she would be, and she might have a day job, but I think she'll do both, you know? And I think it's going to be, it's going to allow you to fly more too, do more things. That's interesting. That might be 2 years away, which says a lot. If you're going to be able to afford your mom, it's going to say a lot about what you're doing. Right?
Yeah.
Paul, and how old did you turn? How young did you turn?
There you go. 32.
You're a baby. I love that.
Bless you.
He's a baby, Barbara.
This means I got to, come up with a different age now for myself.
Tell me about it. I'm right there with you. You're going to see a lot of growth. That's why I asked you how young you were. Because I'm looking out in the future, like when are things going to hit? But you're going to see things hitting this year at your age. So I think this is definitely your foundation that you're building right now. And I think it's going to get easier and it's going to get more complicated, but you're going to have more help.
I love them. Because even for this podcast, I'm like, I love it so much, but I'm up hours editing this sometimes and posting on socials and doing, that's all you have to do is expand and market it. And I was like, damn, if I get to a moment where I could hire somebody to do that, that would be great.
And that's, you fake it till you make it, babe.
Health-wise for me,
you hold everything in your back. I felt like you either had allergies at one point because I felt the draining, or were you sick? Were you under the weather a little bit a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just feeling the remnants from that, but I feel overall, you feel healthy. I think that you've been thinking about either a mammogram or you need to go get one.
Oh my gosh. I just literally opened a letter today reminding me it's time for my mammogram.
Time for your mammogram. That's what I was getting. Yeah. And then I also feel like I don't know if you did something to your upper thigh or your knee, or if there's some strain there. And if it's not you, it's somebody close to you.
No, I've been having problems with my hip. Yeah.
Okay. Because it feels like it's shooting down.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like almost like a sciatic, but it's shooting down in the front of your leg. Okay. Yeah. It feels like it's your cartilage is kind of wiped out.
Yeah.
Boo. If you do the hip surgery, I've heard that they do it so easy now. It's such an easy recovery.
Yeah.
It's all the difference in the world. So don't be afraid to do it either. Because that pain is really, really painful. You're dealing with a lot of pain. Make sure your thyroid gets checked as well because of the hormonal issues. I feel like overall you're in great health. It just is the little things that make you go, ugh. You're dealing with a lot of things. So just know it's all temporary. I think you're actually just getting it's remnants of whatever relationship you might have had or whatever you've gone through. I think is just leaving. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you've been over it and your subconscious is over it, but your body's catching up. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
You'll be a brand new you by next year.
I love that.
That's what I wanted to ask Barb's like love life. Do you foresee her?
Yes, I do. Out in California. I do.
My man's waiting in California for me.
Your man could be even in New Jersey that's going to California. Is some connection to that. And so Did you guys play pickleball? Or have you played pickleball?
My
Brett
boyfriend,
started playing pickleball.
You did?
Brett,
brother
my
did.
other son, just
Your
started.
other son. Okay.
Yeah, just started playing it.
It feels like you might meet them out, like doing something like that, by the way. So
That's funny because I was looking up like if there's pickleball groups in this area when Brett started.
you need to do that. I think by force, you're going to be forced out of your comfort zone. And this really is the year to get uncomfortable. It really is. This is the year to get uncomfortable. And it's the year to just go outside your boundaries or your norms and
Yeah.
just see if you can do it. I feel like you have some friends that are super excited that you're in the place that you're in. Like,
Oh,
just
yeah.
go. That's
Definitely.
She's been more social. She's been out with her girlfriends.
Yeah,
planning.
they love it. They absolutely love having her with them.
Yeah.
You guys are definitely making up for lost time. What
Yeah.
other questions do you guys have?
My career, you've already talked about that. That's a huge factor of my
Yeah.
always like second guessing and just
Don't. You're really good literally at reading people and putting them. There's a reason why you're in where you're at. Like don't think for a second. Know that things are going to happen for you. It's just not going to happen in the timeline that you might want it to. You get in the way of yourself because you are so worried about everybody else. And so I'm not saying not to be worried about everybody else, but I'm saying to rephrase that and look around and see the people that are holding space for you instead of you feeling like you have to play small in order to fit in. Like anytime that you elevate yourself, you're elevating everybody around you. You have to rephrase the way you do that. Because I can watch you looking at something like, oh, this might be too big or this might be too much, quit doubting that. Because how many times do you think, oh, I wish I would have done that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nobody from the other side has ever said they wish they would have held back. I've heard that from no one. Like, did you take that kiss? Did you get that phone number? Did you make the most of your day? Or did you just sit around and I'm not saying that's needed too when you're tired and all the things, but they're just like, we waste so much time in our heads thinking about what we should be doing versus doing and then trying to think afterwards. You're like this little kid that's just ready to go. Like you're like this little rocket that wants to stop. And I feel like that's happening, but you're just like, no, it's a little cold out there. Or no, not today.
Because his head's always his head's always on the next thing he wants to do. It's always constantly from one thing to another to another. Yeah.
But that also is his gift. So
you're right. I tell him that. Yes.
So how does he, and there's a lot of things like, so for instance, all the stuff that I did that was pro bono has now been funneled into their whatever they're doing. Something. It's put me on TV. It's done a lot of things. And that was all the work that I did without expecting anything. And I feel like, so when you're doing your work, know that everything is working for you. It's not just when you feel like you're not, don't equate it to finances right now. Know that you are still you're in the trenches a little bit, but I also feel like you know so much. Like it's not like you need to know more. It's just you need to know how, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think once you got that kind of down, I feel like it's going to be different for you. But just don't stop yourself. The only time that we learn is really through our mistakes.
True.
Right?
I think I'm afraid of making a mistake.
Yeah. I think we all are.
Yeah. Yeah. Hence we're here with Jen today of being like, tell me things that I shouldn't be doing to not make mistakes.
I think something a little heavier, that is more related to my mom and I. What do you see about my dad?
I feel like he has a lot of growing up to do. And I feel like he doesn't get enough oxygen. There's just something about his heart slowing down, it feels like. Or has he had heart issues or anything that you're aware of?
Yeah, he has high blood pressure.
Okay. And I just don't feel like he listens to anyone. So I'm just like, it's on deaf ears. And I almost feel like it's not his fault, even though it is. And hear me out. I feel like it's just a learned behavior from his own family. And so, and I'm not saying that, and I'm trying to say this in the nicest way, but like, he just doesn't know. He's a savant. It's like he just doesn't know how to be connected. And so partially, like, again, at his age, he should take full ownership for all the things that he's done or all the things that have happened. But he's, for whatever reason, he just doesn't, it's almost like he has no emotions in a way. They're either extreme or there's none. There's like literally no medium ground with him whatsoever. And so I don't know if that's a chemical function where he's chemically not right, or if it's, I think a lot of it has to do with not his high blood pressure, sleep apnea, possibly not getting enough sleep, not getting enough air. And that just does something over time to your brain.
I struggle with accepting the closure. I don't, that one day he's no longer going to be here, and then that is the end of our relationship that is not even there. And I struggle with, I think you're always hopeful, like, oh, like if that person just was like, oh, they'll take accountability and I'm a easygoing person. I don't see it, but I kind of also like have already prepared myself for like our last moments, if ever, would be that. And then that's it, unfortunately.
Well, he owes this Paul so many apologies, and he just won't do it. And that's just, you're that little kid that just wants to be seen, and he just doesn't know how to do it. Like I said, he just doesn't have the emotional capability to, like, and none of that's your fault. None of this is your fault. You're just living and breathing. But I do feel at one point in time, he will connect with you. But it's probably going to be after something where he has a close to death situation, or he hits his head and forgets everything and loves you, everybody. Because I know that he has it in there. That's who you married, right? He has it, but it just went away. And he also feels bad about things that he's done. And so that's keeping him from, like, he doesn't, what's the point if he feels, I don't know, maybe I'm overstepping my bounds, but I can feel him saying, what's the point if you guys are never going to respect him anyways, or if you're never, and it's like, the only time I've ever seen marriages really fall apart is when you lose respect for the other person. Relationships just don't work, but it doesn't mean you can't. Hopefully hold on. You're going to reunite with him, but it's not going to be it's not going to be for a while, but you will. And it'll be on your terms.
Okay.
But that's down the road, much further.
My mom's mom, my grandmom.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I always want to know. We were very close to her growing up. My mom and her, very tumultuous, I would say, relationship, to be kind.
I feel like you always wanted better things for your mom. And so the fights that you would have would be over things that, I don't know if maybe it was her relationship or if it was something else. Like, you would try to help her, from what I'm getting. And that you guys were very, very strong, like almost like magnets when it came to your personalities. And I also feel like, was she ever jealous of you with your dad?
Me with my dad?
Yeah.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. I think that stemmed at a young age that you weren't even aware of. And so she had this jealousy because you were so loved by your dad, and she would fight with your dad a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
She just was, I felt her, she just wasn't right mentally towards the end either, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of things that were said or based upon things that she thought she remembered were not, they always say 50% of our memories are not even accurate. But she was so stubborn. She held on to feelings that she thought were attached to the things that never happened or whatever was said. And so you were in a place of like, you didn't even know what was going on before she passed, correct? Or you were dealing with family?
I was dealing with something in my family. Yes.
In your
but
family.
I was present when she passed. Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like she's just saying that it wasn't her fault. Again, it wasn't her fault, but it was just.
That kind of sounds like her.
Yeah. She's a no accountability kind of gal. Yeah.
But she did love you, and you should have known that kind of thing. Like, I did love you. You knew that. I wasn't always kind, but it was a tough situation, or it was just, you tried to get your mom in better situations, whether it was with her health or relationship, and she just wasn't having any of it. And that's not your fault. She's like, she can't blame me for trying. She just wasn't good at listening at all, like ever. And she's not sorry about that part either.
That sounds like her.
Saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I would love to hear that from her, but she's like, well, why would that be the case? Like, she's giving me nothing. Like, just besides her biggest aim is I love her. She knows that.
It's crazy that you said all this because my mom took care of her when she was diagnosed with cancer. My mom was dealing with my brother and her at the same time. And my mom was like the glue that was keeping that together.
Right. So my son had cancer. My mom had cancer. Yeah. So that's, for you to say that's.
It was very spot on.
Pretty accurate. Yeah.
I do feel it. She just, the way that she loves just isn't fuzzy.
No.
Not a fuzzy love. It's just like, I've done all this for you. I used to cook and all that stuff. I've done all this for you kind of thing. But I do know she's grateful that you are her daughter. I do feel that with every, she just.
I appreciate that.
And she's also saying that in her mind, you guys got along great.
She would say that too.
I don't know what's wrong. Everything was great.
Yeah. Yep. She would say that. Yeah.
I do feel her saying, I entrusted her with my life. I mean, I don't know what's wrong. And she loves, like, you played music for her. You got her out of her own head, she says. And she tries to play music for you as well. Like, again, she's not that warm and fuzzy, but you'll hear music that will remind you of her. But she's saying, though, she's around all the time. And she's also saying that she loved watching TV with you. Like, when you would actually spend time with her when you had so much to do, she said, and you at least made her feel like you were there, because she was really scared. And she says that you also made it okay for her to go. And she knew that was really difficult and challenging because your mom did not want to go. She was scared. She was afraid to leave. Yeah. And so she said that you made her heart feel good enough to where she was able to go. And she's really grateful about that. There's something with roses. Lilac. Hold on.
I'm surprised you haven't cried yet.
I have tears.
It's so funny. I mean, even getting to know her, because it's like having people that don't know me. So she's like, why am I talking to this person? So I'm trying to get to know her as I'm talking to her.
No, she was funny. Yeah, she had her funny times. Yeah.
She's funny. I do feel like your son does not have cancer whatsoever, and he beat it, and he feels stronger than ever from what I'm picking up on. His muscles hurt occasionally, but I feel like it's probably because he's working out and doing things. But yeah, what a ride you have been on.
Yeah, that's why I said I've had a lot of transitions through the years.
Yeah,
a lot of ups and downs. Yeah.
When things feel too calm from a chaotic upbringing, it feels too good to be true.
Yeah.
Get used to it. Get used to it. It's well deserved. But I understand it. My company's called One Beautiful Chaos. chaos is a curator for change. You're
Yeah.
forced to change. And it sucks when you're going through it, but then afterwards you're like, wow, look at what I've done, or look at what I've accomplished. I could have never have had this if I still had that. There's always something better coming along. You just aren't aware of it because it hurts. It's transitions for a reason. They hurt.
Well,
Yeah.
I always try to think positive. You can ask Paul. I'm just not one to be like, boo-hoo, all of this kind of stuff goes on. It's always, there's a reason, we'll get through it. Let's get to the next kind of thing. I'm not one to, I'm a half full kind of
Type of
glass.
gal. She is.
Absolutely. I definitely know that about you. And again, that goes back to life really is too short to be miserable.
Yes.
And you could still grieve and still be happy. People
Yes.
don't know that. Oh, your mom's frozen.
My mom said her Wi-Fi went out. So I was like, of course. That's kind of crazy that after we just had this.
It always happens like that.
Does it really?
Yes.
Thank you, Jen, so much for coming on. Tell everybody where they can check you out at.
You can check me out at jennifershaffer.com, JenniferShaffer.com, on Instagram, Jennifer M. Shaffer.
Thank you. And I know on behalf of my mom, even though she's down and out for the moment, she appreciates everything that your time of coming on here.
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye. Okay, so you're back on and ready to go now.
I know. I'm sorry, everyone. The internet just...
If that's not some like really chilling shit that like right at the end of when she was wrapping up, your Wi-Fi cut off.
Your picture of you, the picture of me, and the picture of her all went black, and it just was like a little line spinning in all of it. Each picture turned black. One went, then one went, then one went.
She's like, sweetie, I think your mom's frozen. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's actually really crazy. That to me makes me feel like there was like a sign somebody was coming to you.
Yeah.
Sending you a message. It was Ma. She was saying, bitch, I loved you. Don't try it.
She was. And I believe that she loved me as she could. Yeah.
What did you think? I think she's so good. Just like,
yeah, no, I thought it was really, again, she said about Brett, she was saying something about his muscles. He's been complaining of his legs, his calves for like a week now, because we were talking about how he needs to get like better shoes from Stanton, and probably it's like bending and stuff, but his muscles in his legs and his knee has been bothering him.
The mammogram.
The mammogram just literally got my mail last night, was sitting on the floor prior to this opening it. And it's time, they send you a nice little speech and it's like, it's time to renew.
Even the thing that she said about Uncle Jim.
Yeah, everybody loved him.
I know, but that's so weird because Aunt Joy is my grandmother's sister. I literally just had a phone call with her the other day. We caught up for a little bit. I adore her. She's such a sweetheart and such a good person.
Shout out Aunt Joy.
Yeah, shout out to Grandmama and Aunt Joy. And Aunt Joy said, sweetie, I know we didn't have the closest relationship growing up, but I love you. And I was like, oh my God, I love her too. Like, yeah, she's just very genuine. Her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that Jen just brought up Uncle Jim, who's her husband, when I hadn't talked to Aunt Joy in like over a year over the phone, like that's kind of crazy. I'm sorry, that ending just really was chaotic for me. It was
I was like, oh my God.
We've never done an episode where Barb's power got cut off at the end of it. So
I got a little teary-eyed at the end.
You did. I was emotional watching you. I don't know if you saw
I guess I don't realize, like, and this is not boo-hoo me. I guess I don't until I speak it to people. I'm like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you feel like a little pity party for yourself.
Yeah, and I don't think of it that way, but then when I speak it to people and I'm like, oh, well, I was going through this, and this, I'm like,
yeah, like when your son and your mom are both going through cancer and you dealt with that with a shitty marriage, and
going through, all of that and stuff. Like I just don't think about it like in the sense of, well, one person was going through that by themselves. You know what I mean? Like
you.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
She's a single mom who works too hard. She loves her kids and never stops.
She has a heart of a tiger.
I'm a survivor.
Uh,
Come on, Reba. Well, I'm very appreciative of Jen. I'm appreciative of getting all that knowledge, using
Yeah.
using her gift to, give us some insight and I mean,
Insight into
my
a
life.
lot, like future
Yeah.
like validating feelings, like,
That's really
yeah.
what it is for me. I think a lot, so it's like sometimes to have somebody with a higher power to lay down and say, "Sweetie," like, it feels like a little hug. It's like, "You're doing
Yeah,
good.
like
You're
you're
doing
doing
good."
good. Yeah. I mean, I tell you that all the time, how wonderful and what amazing person you are and a go-getter and constantly doing and stuff. But
I know, you're
that's
not a psychic, bitch. It's
no,
like
I'm saying like, when you hear it
are
from your
you're not
mom or your family or your brother or Jordy, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, they're just saying it because they love me. But when you hear it like that, it's coming through that way, it kind of validates like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I do struggle with that, and I do think it's because I'm like, my mom is always gonna believe in me and tell me I can do whatever I want, and I know it's because you really genuinely believe that, but like you said, sometimes I think it's hard to
Yeah.
fully see that in a way because 'cause you're just like, "Well, they don't know,"
Yeah.
and Jen has a gift that maybe she knows she can see a little bit further down the line, so I think it just depends, but I feel good walking away from this.
I feel good walking away from this.
I hope everyone who's
I'm going to
listening.
be your manager.
Yeah, now that's some shit.
There you go.
That's some shit.
Get to it.
She won't be the single mom who works too hard anymore.
Um,
Uh,
because she also was saying, which I always kid with you about, like taking care of me and stuff. And she was like, "Don't worry, he'll take." Did you hear that little thing
she
in there?
did.
She did. She said something about he'll take care of you, or you're going to be taking care of your mom, kind of thing. And I was like, "Oh,
Barb,
so
that is
I
true.
have to start saving for that table where you can mummify me in it."
Girl, what? A
Remember?
mummified table?
Yeah, I sent you the picture
Of what?
of me. They mummify you and put you in a coffee table.
Oh, hell no. Yeah, I love you, but I'm like, that's gonna have to be at the pool house in the back. I don't know if that's the main decor in the house.
I sent it to you. We had a conversation about it.
Okay. Clearly, I pushed that away.
It
Well,
was a company that mummifies people and puts them in coffee tables.
okay,
And
you're
like
worse than me.
literally
If you
like
really, yeah, that's what I'm gonna sit there and put my coffee down, eat my food.
you can have a conversation with me every morning.
Hi, mommy.
Come on
That's
over,
great.
everybody. Come spend it. It's Barb's birthday. Come on.
That's crazy as hell. That's
Yeah.
crazy. No, thank you, ma'am.
That's a boundary.
That's a boundary. Yeah, I think that I thought we were going on a good path. We were working some things out, and then you come sideswipe me with mummify me for your coffee kitchen table. I'm like, I no fucking way. So on that note, thank you everybody for listening to this week's episode. Don't
Yeah,
get any
thank
crazy
you.
ideas like Barb about mummifying your parent for a coffee table. Thank you to Jen for joining us. I hope everybody got a little bit to walk away with of tapping into your intuitive power and knowing that everybody has it, but it's tying the self-awareness to it. So, that's something that I think we can all do and be a little bit better at every day.
I hope this helps people be a little bit more open-minded about people really have these abilities, these intuitions, insights, feelings. Like Jen has helped people.
She's cracked FBI cases, cold cases,
Right.
murder
So,
cases.
I mean, these aren't just things that we should not be open-minded to.
We should be open-minded to it. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Well, as always, everybody, please tap into the Instagram account, TikTok account, Facebook account at Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom. Make sure you're liking, sharing, and subscribing our podcast on Apple and Spotify. And let us know what you're thinking. Any suggestions, we're open to it. Clearly, we're giving it all. We're talking
Yeah,
one day about
that's right.
sexing at 50 years old, and now we're talking about, the future and people who have passed. So there's really we have a catalog here.
We really do. A broad spectrum.
Very broad. We're giving versatility, okay?
All right, I'm hanging up now. Bye.
Bye. Call you later. Love
Bye.
you.
Call you later. Love you.